Hey guys, welcome to episode 14, I believe. I don't have my notes on me. So I wanted to let you know that this month we are doing a lot of traveling, and therefore the content load on the blog is going to be lighter. I'm just going to be posting twice a week, and if I take a little while to respond to emails or to comments, it's because we are traveling and busier than usual. This week on Love Bridget, I wanted to share with you an experience that I had. It's like 6 years ago now. But we had just moved to Gainesville. And the sisters in Gainesville had gone on a retreat the month before we moved there, and so I wasn't able to go. And after we got to Gainesville, some of the sisters shared with me what they had learned of the Lord and experienced on the retreat. And one of the things that they had talked about was this idea of going on a walk with the Lord, just to spend time with Him. And I thought it was pretty awesome. I had been spending time with the Lord for a long time. It was a really big thing in the church I grew up in to have a quiet time. But it had always had kind of this religious aspect of, it was really me going to the Lord, expecting Him to tell me what I needed to change about myself, or what religious service He wanted me, what act of service He wanted me to do, or find His will for my life or in a certain situation. And so just the idea of just spending time with the Lord because I enjoy Him and He enjoys me was new for me. And so we had been in Gainesville, just a couple of weeks at this point. And I really felt the Lord kind of asking me basically to go on a walk with Him. And I kept putting it off. Finally, this probably went on for like 3 or 4 days. I just kept putting it off. And finally, one morning, this was like a Thursday or Friday morning, I woke up earlier than usual, and it was like instantly that thought was in my mind again of the Lord saying, "Come, go on a walk with me." And so I got out of bed. I don't know, it was probably 7 maybe. I got out of bed and I went into the bathroom because Arcee was still sleeping. So I went to the bathroom to get dressed, and I had gotten dressed and I was ready to put my shoes on. So I sat down on the floor and I just paused for a second, and I was like, "Lord, what is causing me to hesitate in joining you on this walk I feel like you're inviting me on?" I just kind of sat there for a minute, and I realized as I sat there, the concern that rose up within me was, I wasn't convinced He would show up. And I didn't want to go on this walk and Him not show up. And that morning, sitting there in the bathroom floor, I said, "You know what, Lord? My fear is that you're not going to show up. And then I'm going to go on this walk and there's just going to be nothing. It's just going to be me." I said, "But I'm going to show up. I feel like you're inviting me, and so I'm going to show up. And if you don't, that's fine. But I'm going to." And so got my shoes on and I walked outside, and I walked to the very end of our driveway, and I just stopped. I was just like, "Okay, Lord, you're the one who invited me on this walk. So which way do I go?" And there wasn't any voice or anything. But I just kind of had a desire to go left. I didn't overthink it too much. I was like, well, if I get this wrong, or if you just don't even show up, oh well. So I went left. And as we were going, I turned and I looked at the houses along the street, and just this question flashed through my mind of, "So what do you think about that one?" And I thought, well, that's just me, because that's what Arcee and I will do when we go on walks. We'll look at houses and be like, "Oh, I really like this about this one," or "I really like that about that one," or "Hey, what do you think about this one?" And I felt like the Lord saying, I want to talk to you about that too. And so as we walked, I thought, okay. And so I just started talking to the Lord about my thoughts on these houses. And as we walked, I basically just talked to Him about this, it felt silly, like the Lord cares about these houses. But so I got to the end of that street. I was like, "Okay, Lord, what way now?" And it was a busier street that I had come upon, but I felt like I was supposed to go right on it. So I turned right and walked down for a little way. These were streets that I had taken a few walks on at this point. We hadn't been there very long. Taken a few walks on with some of the other sisters to go like to other people's houses and stuff, right? Or to take our kids riding bikes and stuff. And so I'm walking and I'm getting a little bit further from our house, and I really don't like walking by myself. And I come upon this street where like you can only see maybe 50 feet down the street because it curves, and in Gainesville there are trees everywhere, and it's just lined with forest on both sides, and you just really can't see very far down the street. And it's just, in my mind, it does not look safe at all. Not someplace that I would consider walking by myself. And I felt like the Lord wanted me to go down the street. And I thought, oh, no. Maybe if I had someone else here with me, maybe if other people even knew I was on a walk. But pretty much everyone in the house was asleep when I left. And so I sat there for a while, going back and forth. This is probably, I mean, when you're just standing there, it feels longer. So maybe 30, 40 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, I don't know. But finally I was like, you know what, Lord? Okay. You asked me to go on this walk. I said I was going to show up. I think you want me to go down the street, so I'm going to go down it. And so I walked down the street, and as I'm walking, there are some really cool houses. And it's like he was just saying, you know, hey, you would have never come down the street without me. What do you think about these houses? I was like, okay, those are pretty cool. And then I get to the end of the street, and it ends just in a little cul-de-sac. I get to the end of the street, and one of the two houses on the cul-de-sac is like my dream home. If I was able to build a house, this is what it would look like. If I was able to position a house on certain property, it would look very similar to this. Like it was everything that I would want in a home. From the outside, obviously. I don't know what the inside looked like. And I just sat there. And I felt like the Lord was saying, I just wanted to show this to you. I knew how much you would like this. And I just wanted to show this to you. And it was nothing significantly spiritually profound at all. There was no big heavy revelation. There was no, go into the world, make disciples of all the nations command or commission. There was simply that the Lord knew that there was something down this road that I would enjoy, but that I would never go down this road to see unless He prompted me, unless He took me. And I stood there for minutes just looking at this house, but being significantly more amazed by the love and the friendship, the intimacy that the Lord was sharing with me in that moment, that wasn't about things I needed to change for Him or things that I needed to do for Him, but just because He knew that that house was something that I would enjoy seeing. So I walked home with such a sense of love and fullness, joy. There was no promise of Him, that, oh, someday you'll have a house like this. That's not at all what He was saying. I really felt like what He was speaking to my heart was, I wanted to show you this because I knew you would enjoy it. And the joy that you take in making a home and seeing homes, dreaming of a home, is the joy that I have in my own home, which is the church. So a few months later, we were spending time as a church looking at the Lord in John 8, verses 1 through 8. And this is where Jesus is teaching, and the Pharisees bring the adulterous woman to Him, and it's the whole, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And as I was spending some time with the Lord reading through John 8, 1 through 8, what stood out to me was that at the very beginning, it says that Jesus was at the temple waiting for them. And what I saw was a Lord who doesn't say, well, I'll show up if they do, who doesn't wait for the crowd to gather so that he can walk in with great fanfare, but I saw a Lord who shows up first, who waits for us, who shows up and then waits for us to show up. And so my spiritual recipe this week for you is to simply show up, because I promise you the Lord already has. When you feel him inviting you and you feel him drawing you, don't be afraid. Just show up. There you go. I hope that story encourages you to respond to the Lord's promptings. I know that letting go of that fear of him not showing up and seeing that he's a Lord who shows up first. He loves showing up. He so desires to spend time with us that he shows up first every time. So, anywho, I hope you show up. All right, I'll talk to you next time.